everyone, the following video is a recording of our Manifold workshop that was held in the MetaJungle Discord on August 16th. This workshop was hosted by MetaJungle members Mike Schmidt and Michael Hartley. We want to thank Mike and Michael for their time in creating this workshop and teaching it to the entire MetaJungle community. In this workshop, they went over the basic information needed for creating your own smart contract using the Manifold website, as well as minting on this smart contract. They also answered many questions that the viewers had and provided so much helpful and useful information in regards to Manifold. We hope you find this session as useful as we did. And with that, let's go on ahead and check it out.
Today's workshop is basically an introduction to Manifold, and I have Michael Hartley here with me. Thanks a lot, Mike. I'll try to keep it at Michael because I'm Mike. Michael will get confused. Just for taking the time to help out, because I know you're kind of OG in creating contracts and tokens on Manifold. I'm pretty sure you did it well before me. Also, thanks to Adam Carity, who provided us this really cool ASCII artwork, which we'll explain what ASCII artwork is here shortly. But yeah, so we basically put this workshop together because there's been a lot of requests lately of more and more people that have been wanting to mint on like their own contract that's tied to their wallet address for many different reasons. And I can tell you that the reason why I did it with my my Lost in Transit collection is because this is a legacy collection I've been working on for 10 years now, and so I wanted it to be fully minted to my own contract. And the reason for that is because I initially saw that some artists that I had bought from Iran and also Russia, that I had lost NFTs that were on OpenSea, and they were just gone. And so because of sanctions, those artists were just deleted and removed from OpenSea. And when I saw that, I said, damn, this is a level of centralization, obviously. And it's not necessarily OpenSea's fault, because there are sanctions and taxes and stuff that OpenSea has to abide by. But that made me get kind of a weird feeling in my stomach about my own art, because my own art's very important to me, and I've been working on it for a long time. And so thought to myself, well, I'm in a decentralized space, and so I don't want to become victim to centralization. So I want to have my own smart contracts through Manifold, which you guys will see today is not as hard as it sounds once you learn how to do it. We're going to make it very simple. We're going to simplify it for you guys, but I want to have my own contracts, because once you have them and they're yours, it's not like, so on OpenSea, for instance, they do something called lazy minting. And then I believe the buyer actually pays the fees once it's bought, and that's why there's no upfront fees. Now, the downside to that is that it's minted on OpenSea's contract with all sorts of other ERC tokens on their platform as well. And so the interesting thing is, like, through Manifold and having my own contract, is that I get to set my royalties at 10%. And if OpenSea, for some reason, removes my project, I still have my project in my custom contract, and I can move it over to Rarible or Maker's Place or Foundation or Sloika or any other platform. And so it's sort of like a safety net, but it's a nice thing to have, because it's a beautiful feeling of ownership and individual sovereignty. So with that, Michael, why did you originally want to mint to Manifold in your early stages?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I minted my first NFT in March of 2021 on Rarible. And then I heard about lazy minting on OpenSea. So I put my collection on OpenSea in September. And I just started to hear funny things from OpenSea, and as I got more into NFTs, I started to understand a tiny bit about the contract, and started to hear that actually the OpenSea one was shared. And they did a couple of funny things, like when they were trying to cap the collection size at 50, stuff like that. So, and then I started to hear about Manifold, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And actually, like, as it's gone on, as Mike just said about artists getting delisted and stuff like that, I just kind of like the portable nature of it, and it felt more decentralized. So yeah, and I was really interested in batch minting as well, just to save money, because minting, back then minting was quite an ordeal, and I ended up having a 30-minute Zoom call with one of the developers, and just to unlock that feature. So yeah, so I minted my first collection on a 721. I think that was in April, and then since then I've done a
1155.
Yeah, and I've just done an open series 721 as well. So yeah, I really like it, and I find it, as you say, it's once you've done it once, you look back and go, okay, it's not that tough. So yeah, and I think what's going on at the moment as well with OpenSea, that going to be more people moving to this. You can use it on Foundation as well now, which is cool. So we can talk about that. But yeah, let's go, Mike.
Right. Awesome, man. So with that being said, on Manifold site, it says exactly here, Manifold enables Web3 creators to have true creative ownership, preserve on-chain provenance, and interoperate with all major NFT marketplaces. Just think about that for a second, right? It's yours, and you can move it around when you need to, if you have to. That alone, to me, is enough for me to use it. And when I used Manifold, I realized this is actually a lot easier than minting through OpenSea, because it actually pulls the EXIF data off of my camera and it'll put it right into the properties. It'll take the resolution, the camera I used, the date in which a lot of that information is important, people, and it would put it right into that. It's really cool. So with that, I think we're going to just basically dive in and just go from scratch. I think this is the easiest way to teach, is to go from scratch. I unlinked myself from the site and everything. I'm acting as if I'm brand new. And so the first things first, you're going to go to manifold.xyz. And you're always going to make sure that you're going to the correct website, guys, because I don't know if there's copycat sites of Manifold, but there's copycat sites of things in the space. So you always want to make sure that you go to the correct site and then you bookmark that site to make sure that when you go back to it that you're bookmarked. Anyway, Manifold site is here. It's showing you some of this really cool ASCII art. And if you go down the create a platform, Buck Crystal's on here. They've got him featured. I'm a big fan. And then learn more, launch app. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch the app. This is what you guys are going to do first. You're going to launch the app. Let me plug in my laptop real quick. I didn't realize I didn't the charger plugged in here, so I'm gonna run out of battery. But anyway, this is spinning here. It wants me to connect wallet. So it wants me to open MetaMask to continue. So I'm gonna open up my MetaMask. We got to connect our wallet here, and I'm gonna select my Ledger one here that has 2 ETH in it. That's the one that's connected to my lost in transit contract and my tokens. So once we connect that, we're connected now. Wallet's connected. Logging in. Probably should ask me for a signature here. And sign the signature on my ledger. Best practice, have the hardware walletized. Don't know what you're signing. Okay, here. So we're jumped in here, and now just give me a moment. I'm just gonna plug in my laptop. And how am I coming in, guys? As far as Audible, I'm pretty good.
You're good.
Okay, great. We're about to go step by step through how to create.
losing you there, Mike. So at the top of this page, while Mike's plugging in his Wi-Fi, there's like this little green, looks like a little gas pump. And when Mike gets back, if he hovers over that, it's going to give you an idea about gas fees today, and it's going to give you like a breakdown of each of the different things that you can do. So the price of doing I don't know, like there you go. So and that little gas icon changes color depending on how bad or good gas is at the time that you're on it. So yeah, it will go red, it'll go amber, and it'll go green. So yeah, it's looking pretty good at the moment. You good there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So now basically, before I go over any of this stuff, which is really cool, it shows me who my collectors are and how many tokens they own and stuff. Manifold does a lot of really cool things like this, but I want to start off from scratch. And so let's first take a look at a contract that I've already created, right? So I've already created an ERC 1155 contract. This is my Lost in Transit Legacy collection. Many of you are familiar with. Before I get into that, I just want to explain. I want to explain real quick the difference between ERC 1155 and ERC 725. So ERC is going to ask you to pick between the two. ERC 725 is your standard for creating non-fungible tokens, where each token is different from the rest. That's basically what non-fungible means. So ERC 1155 is where you can actually do both non-fungible and also fungible tokens, meaning that you could have the same image multiple times. So a good example would be within my additions collection within Lost in Transit, which is where I needed to use an 1155 because I wanted it to look clean. And I'm going to show you guys how that looks real quick. So on an 1155, if we click on one of my images, I have 10 additions, right? 10 owners, but this is fungible because it's the same image and there's 10 of them in existence. Now, if I were to pick ERC 725, like Ashton did here, then it comes out looking like this. Now, we're talking right now if you're doing additions. So each one is different in the sense that they are each numbered. So maybe if you're doing one addition, one image and multiple additions, then maybe you want to choose this route possibly. But for me, with a collection, I like it to look really clean. I don't want images everywhere. I want people to see the one image and that's it. And I just want them to see how many there are owners. These are the owners. And that's it. So I went with 1150. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and take a look at what it looks like here when I click on my contract. So this is my contract here on the right side. You're going to put in a contract name. Mine's Lost in Transit. Type ERC 1155, and my symbol. I used my symbol as Lost. In hindsight, I wish I would have did lit because that's really cool. But either way, and then this is the ASCII art here. I did something very simple, and to create that art, I just used this. You could go on Google and look up, ASCII art generators, but I know that this one is not like, I know this one is legit. So I just put like Foggy Nights in here, and you can look through all these different crazy looking fonts here. But I think the one I had there was very simple. So Foggy Nights. So let's go into now that I showed you guys what the contract looks like. You mint a contract, right? And we're going to do all this, but you mint a contract, and then there's tokens within that contract. And so now you can see this is the first minted token, second, third, all the way down to I have 60. It looks at the top, it shows 60 tokens. The symbol is Lost. So to be clear, you don't need to create a new contract for every token. So Lost in Transit is my contract, and these are my Lost in Transit tokens that fit with inside of there. And so you can see my whole 60 collection is in here. And if we were to click on one, you can actually preview these, which is interesting. Even if you don't mint them to mainnet, you could preview what they look like on OpenSea. Looks rare, rareable. So if I clicked OpenSea, it would open it up. It would show the crown, and it would show my properties and stuff like that. So just wanted to give you guys a quick idea of what it looks like from my manifold after I've already created a contract and tokens. Now, with that being said, let's do something fresh and create something something brand new. So I'll go back here. Let's just click here. Are you sure you want to leave this page? No. Let's see. Trying to back up from my contract here. I mean, really, realistically, I could just go back to Studio. Let's see. And then let's create a new. You guys could hear me good? We're going to start creating. We're going to start creating a new contract here. So now, I recommend everyone creates. Once you create a contract, it's going to be permanent. So that's why we have this mainnet tab up here. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit here so it's easier for you guys to see. We have this mainnet tab up here. And so if we change that mainnet tab to Rinkeby, right, we can switch networks. And now we are on a complete test network. And if you see, the gas is 1. And this is free to do this. And so how do you get Rinkeby Ethereum? So to get your Rinkeby Ethereum, you're actually going to go to a Rinkeby faucet. And the one I use is rinkbyfaucet.com. And so you just put, mine is spatial.eth, and then you just say send me ETH. I don't think it's going to give me more ETH today because I think it says you can collect a certain amount, 0.1 within 24 hours, but I'll press it anyway. Send me ETH. Sorry, they already gave it to me. So basically, so that's how you do it. You press send me ETH, it sends it to your address. And so now when you go into your contract, you can go new contract, and we can take a look into my MetaMask, right? And we're on the Rinkeby testnet, and if you see, they gave me free 0.1, but I had some extra from the other day, so I have 0.27, which is this equivalent to 0.2767 ETH. But this is just like monopoly money. It's free money that you get to use just for testing. So I recommend everybody does that. Get your Rinkeby ETH, send it to that address, and then just on MetaMask, you're going to switch up at the top right here. You're going to go from Ethereum and you're going to go on the Rinkeby testnet like we're on now, because better to just do everything simple first. So we're going to create a contract, right? I'm just going to call it Foggy Nights, and we're going to go with I guess we can go with ERC. Have you done ERC 721s yet, Michael?
Have, yeah.
You have. All right. Well, I haven't done ERC 721s yet, but let's just say that this is not an additions collection, because the additions collection I used 1155 because I wanted that clean look. So let's go with 721, and so I'll make the symbol for this. So this is Foggy Nights. Let's just do the signal as fog, right? And then it's asking us to put in an ASCII artwork here. And so, and I don't think it lets you go forward without that artwork. So I went into this random generator. I just typed in Foggy Nights, and we can just copy paste it. So I want to keep this button down here. It says select and copy. So it's copied. And let's just go ahead and put that in here. I'll just paste it. And Foggy Night, I don't know, it's a little small. You can go back in this and you can make it you can make the full Foggy Nights thing fit if you go back into the generator and make it smaller. So let's deploy this contract. So this is how you create a contract. It's just contract name, type, which is just between two different types, and it explains the difference between these two here. Your symbol, and then just your artwork. So I'm going to deploy this on Rinkeby. So compiling contract, this is the first part. It takes about 2 minutes, it says. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. On Rinkeby, it should be the same speed always. On the main net, that's when you get slower and longer transactions, because obviously that's the main net. After this, we'll just it's going to ask me. So if you see on my screen, it just popped up. It's giving me this monopoly money cost, which is really low and it's free. So yeah, I'm going to confirm. It's awaiting signature on my ledger. I'm going through my ledger and I'm accepting there. And you'll see I got a check mark. It's going on to the next step. We're going to deploy the contract now. Now remember, everything we're doing right now is reversed because we're putting it on the test net. But it's also editable too. You can edit it while it's on the test net as well.
This is the other really good thing about Manifold is you can go back in and edit your metadata. In the early days of NFTs, I believe that, yeah, whatever you put into your description, that was it. And if you got it wrong, if you made a typo, whatever, you had to burn it or live with it. The other thing as well, Mike, when you're in Metamask, sometimes it doesn't show you the ability to see the test network. So I think you just go into settings and there's a little slider on there and you make it show basically.
Oh, to see to see what part of the testnet?
If you just go up to your MetaMask while that's loading.
Okay.
And then I don't know, if you go up to those little dots.
You can look at it on Etherscan, you're saying? Or?
No, I'm just saying that sometimes it doesn't show the test networks and you have to turn it on. I can't remember exactly where it is. Maybe at the top there, you see the little drop down. Right.
This one?
Actually, yeah, it might be in there. Go to settings. And then, where would it might be networks.
Well, I think it would be networks because it's Rinkeby.
Yeah.
So Rinkby's here. So you're saying if somebody didn't have the Rinkeby network that they could add it?
Yeah, sometimes I think by default it's not on, but anyway, if you can't find it, just look around in settings.
Yeah, I mean by default I actually had it though, so that was good. I don't know if maybe they have it by default now on MetaMask. I'm not sure.
Fair enough. But
this takes a little bit. This says it could take between 5 and 10 minutes. I don't think it's going to. But this is the strongest part right here. The longest and the strongest part. It's creating that contract that's going to fit all of your artwork within that contract. And remember, you only have to make one contract if you're creating a collection of work. You do not need to make multiple of these. Some people are making that mistake on Manifold right now. They have to go back and add the tokens. So we're just going to create this Foggy Nights contract, and then I'm just going to use 1 or 2 images that I have of nights where I went out where it was foggy, and I took a picture, and we're going to put it in there. For example. Cool.
For me, Mike, the longest amount of time was spent doing the ASCII art. We spent about 2 hours on mine.
Oh, making it look cool?
Yeah, and the other thing you can do as well, if you've got an 1155 contract, and it's how would I say this, a single one, but for one edition, you can actually put actually this is what you can do. For a 721 contract, you can put the total collection size in the ASCII, and it's just another way of saying to the collector, look, this is going to be no more than 10 images.
So it kind of acts as like a receipt for authenticity, saying I won't do any more than this. You can put it in the art.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it just shows like real intention from the start, so it's a good one.
Well, that's really cool. Awesome.
When are you actually going to be minting this properly, Mike?
This collection?
Yeah.
It's not a collection that I'm minting. I'm just using this for an example today. These photos may never get minted. I don't know.
Fair play.
They're just some shots I went out and took when it was foggy. Figured they were cool to use for the just for the workshop.
Actually, I have quite a few. I've got 2 contracts now. I've got 2 ER721s, and in the Manifold documentation, they say to just try and have one. But I don't know. People that I've spoke to, they just tend to make a new one for each collection.
They make a new contract. Yeah, I would make a new contract for each collection. But since I'm working, I've been strictly working on my Lost in Transit collection. I've just and I'm not done. I'm only 60 tokens out of 100 tokens in, so I've only used it for this project so far, and so I've only had to create one contract, but I've had to deploy 20 images 3 different times because I do my drops in 20. It should be almost here. I mean, I don't want to do anything else in the meantime, guys, just because, I want you to see what the process looks like. I don't want people to be freaking out when this takes a long time. And it just, it just does.
Yeah,
and it's probably
too long.
Yeah, it's probably almost done. Oh, wait, it said could not verify this Rinkby contract. We will retry the verification process automatically, and we'll send you an email to my email. Once complete, in the meantime, feel free to explore the other features Manifold has to offer. Well, that was unexpected. So yeah, that was unexpected. I mean, and these type of things happen sometimes, right? When we're minting and stuff like that. I haven't seen this before, and it could be because I'll tell you why this could be. This could be because of the Ethereum merge right now. Because when I went to Rinkby Faucet, right? Let me just go to Rinkby Faucet again. It had a warning at the top, kind of here. It said, due to the ETH merge, the Rinkby testnet will be what, deprecated soon. Please develop using our Gorelli testnet faucet. Are you familiar with the Gorelli testnet faucet?
Absolutely not. So I imagine that maybe in a month or 2, this tutorial will probably be out of date. Every time we talk about Rinkby, it's probably going to be whatever that word is.
Now it's going to be Gorelli. So this is the Gorelli faucet. So, all right.
See if you can go back, Mike, and just press OK again, and see if you can push it through.
See if it went through.
If you can deploy it again.
Oh, try deploying it again and see. Okay. It shouldn't have to go through all this. Once it goes through all the steps, right? I don't think it should have to go through it again. It would start at this step, huh? Normally, for me, at least, it does that. I didn't want to have to deploy anything to mainnet today. I know that. And so Rinkby was like my saving grace to be able to show everyone how to do this without having to do that. So I don't know. We'll try this one more time here. And if not, I'll just go ahead and explain what happens after it's deployed. For people who joined late, the Rinkby network is for the test network where you could do all this deploying and stuff and not have to worry about making a mistake because it's a test net. But that test net will show you exactly what it's going to look like on OpenSea, Rarible, or any of those other platforms that you're looking to mint onto that main net.
Yeah, so it does. Yeah, as well as OpenSea, as Mike said, you do Rareable, looks rare. I think there might be another one. So it's a good idea. So it's a good idea when you're preparing your collection to just get them all in a folder and get your banners ready, get your logos ready, get your descriptions ready, and yeah, you can really rinse through it, and you can get on 3 platforms like within, I don't know, a few hours.
Well,
10.
check this out. Check this out, Michael. The Gorelli test network is actually on my by default on my MetaMask. So if this doesn't work, we'll just go with the Gorelli since that's the official one. I'll just use the faucet to send me the Gorelli ETH there, and we'll just try it from that test network. And maybe that's why it's taking long on here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be Rinkeby because it seems pretty baked in. Manifold, could be wrong.
I think what they're saying is due to the ETH merge, the Rinkeby testbed will be deprecated soon. Please develop using this. I think they're telling us like presently that we should be developing using this faucet and not the Rinkeby. Even though they said soon it will be gone, maybe they're not operating with it anymore, and now they're using this because of the merge. So I don't want to confuse people. I want them to be able to do this seamlessly without having to worry about which one it is. So if we get that message up again, then I'm going to one more time. I'm going to go with the Gorilla faucet. We can check that out. Because I don't actually want to make this Foggy Nights contract anymore because I don't plan on making a Foggy Nights healing collection. I wouldn't pull.
You can also do batch minting as well on Manifold, and I believe you still have to get a kind of permission to do it, and that would be a benefit if you were trying to mint maybe 50, say, at a collection of 50 images. You can save gas. I think once it goes over like 15 tokens, you then start to save gas, and in the document somewhere, a guide that shows you it. So you basically do, I think it's just like one transaction. I can't remember.
So is it 50 images that are the same image or 50 different images with batch minting?
Yeah, 50 different. So you could have a collection of like 200. It's like the more in your collection, the more gas you save, basically. Yeah, it's an interesting one, but it's still kind of locked down a bit. You have to fill out a questionnaire, and I didn't actually go through the full thing. That's why I had to do my Zoom call, just to kind of. I think they just want to make sure you know what you're doing before you accidentally press mint and you're not happy with it. So yeah, so. We can flick over to my screen if you want, Mike. Try it on mine.
What do you mean on your screen?
So I've got one ready to rock. If kind of at the same.
Oh, you're sharing a screen. You're saying?
I'm not sharing it yet, but I can.
Oh, you have a Gorelli one ready to rock?
Not Gorelli, no, but I've got a. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know how this works. Sorry. Shared.
Same way we shared the other day.
It's loading right now.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I didn't think we were going to run into an issue with Rinkeby. I guess because of that merge, it's they're using a different the token. Strange. that merge just happened, by the way, like a few days ago, which is really bullish for ETH. The merge was successful to testnet, which, hold on one second. Hey guys, I'm back. You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I might.
That was a really interesting request. So the FedEx guy just dropped off a bunch of my camera gear from B&H Photo. And so then he asked me for if he can get some water. So I'm like, yeah, of course you can get some water. And I don't have a bottle. I don't have plastic bottles of water to give him. And so I put water into a Powerade bottle that I cleaned. And then he said, I need ice. I said, I can't fit the ice into the top of the Powerade. And then he's like, can you please take a knife and cut off the top of the Powerade? I need ice in the drink. This is the FedEx guy. And I'm like, I can't do that right now. I'm in the middle of a workshop. So he's basically said, I just need the ice. Please put ice cubes for me in a Ziploc bag. So I'm sorry, I had to step away. But the FedEx guy needed ice cubes. Anyway, so
Wow.
we're back. Yeah, really, really interesting interaction. But I guess he needed ice cubes really badly. So I'm sharing my screen still here, right? And so it looks like Rinkby is still verifying this contract here. I'm beginning to think that it's Borelli now because of the merge. And so let me just go to Borelli Faucet and get some of this stuff. Due to high volume, requests will temporarily require authenticated Alchemy accounts. Okay, so so we're not going to go with Borelli. If this Rinkby portion here does not work, then I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you what it does. I wanted to go through the process seamlessly, but apparently because of the Ethereum merge, there's some issue today, and they're going to email me about it. They said. But I can promise you that this is normally much easier than this. Like, it'll normally, like, confetti comes up on the screen. It says your contract is minted, and then we just mint our tokens, and it's very simple. So, yeah, but I think it's probably been long at this point, Michael. Yeah.
100%. I thought we were rugged. So what we could do is, if you've got any like screenshots or stuff that you could.
I could just see here. Could not verify Rinkby contract. We're gonna retry the verification process automatically and send you an email. Okay, whatever. This is fine, right? Because I wanted to do it exactly step by step for you guys, but hear me out. Rinkby is what you want to be using if you want to mint to the test net for your first time because you don't want to make any mistakes. That's fine, right? I'm gonna go back to my main my main studio XYZ, and I'm going to show you from my my Lost in Transit collection. So what happens after that's finished, right? After that Rinkby would have went through, is it would have showed the contract, right? It would have said Foggy Nights, ERC 725, and Fog, and it would have had my my ASCII art, right? And so it looks just like this, right? Now, so this is the contract. Right? So you got your contract complete. Now, next to contract at the tab up here is tokens. And you'll be doing the same thing with the Rinkby testnet for this as well. And so we can go like this. We can, let's mint a new token. So I have 60 tokens in here on my Lost in Transit. I'm going to mint another one because we're not going to go full through with the process, but I'm going to show you how cool this is. So I'll do one of the ones that's going to do for that Foggy Night one. So watch when I pull up a picture that I want to use. So let's pull up this image here. Right? Awesome. EXIF metadata detective. So Manifold automatically detected the date, focal length, exposure, f-stop, ISO, lens, camera. So if you want to use this metadata, you could select all, or you could pick the ones you want. I like to show all the metadata that I can, because I believe that this is the future metadata for artwork on the blockchain. So if you see, I press submit. Now we have the image that I put, right? And then if we scroll down, you can see the artist name, Mike Schmidt. It had my name in there. The camera I use, Fuji X-T4, a 50f1, ISO 60. It has the date. The date's very important in my collection because my collection's been shot over 10 years. So, the next thing you would do is artwork title. And so let's make an artwork title for this. And so you can see it pops up and it shows you some of my titles from Lost in Transit because it remembers it, which is cool. So title of this, let's just say midnight in Rockaway. Okay. And then this external URL optional. I don't put anything here. Do you put anything there, Michael? I think it's like the same thing on OpenSea. Like if you want it to go to an external URL.
No, I don't even know what that is, to be honest. I've never used it.
Yeah, so I don't use that. So, and then you put your description in here. And so normally I'll put like my little artist statement, and then I'll put, and so I'll show you guys, and then we would normally, we would mint this to Rinkby, and then it would show up. It would show up just like one of these. And so it'll show up with the EXIF data and everything like that. So I'll show you an example of one. So it shows up just like this. So these are all minted already and sold out. So this is our artwork title Tune Out, created by Mike Schmidt. These are the important pieces, right? The description: 2 passengers provide the space needed for to recharge. This shot is from one of the most recent and newest boat commissions, Sandy Ground. I usually do like a little dash here to separate my description. And these are the important things for me: artist, collection name, edition, license. But also, you can have all of that in here too. So I always have in here. I always make sure I have the artist name, the edition, and the licenses. I have commercial and editorial, and I add all these other things just because I like them, especially date. I like the date in mind to be in there. So so after you mint on Rinkby, you'll get to see what this looks like, right? So when I say mint on Rinkby, once again, you're minting to the testnet. Nothing is permanent. So even after minting to just the testnet, we can see, how would this look on OpenSea? And it'll show you, just like this, how it will look on OpenSea. And so it says viewing data right now from the mainnet, but your wallet is on the Rinkby. That's fine. And it shows you. So once you see on Rinkby that everything is perfect, so always double and triple check that your spelling is good, and that your description looks good, and all the properties that you want are in there. And so once you do that, then you can after you do that, let's say this was minted to Rinkby, you can say see how it's minted to mainnet. It just says update on mainnet. If it was minted to Rinkby, it would say next to it mint to mainnet. And then we would mint to mainnet, and it would make an exact replica of the tested one that was on Rinkby. So interestingly enough, I could update on mainnet. So even though people purchased this, I guess I could still update some information. Now, that's cool in some regard because last month, Hytha CG, Chris, who created Row Homes, came out with High Rises, and me and Alpha wanted a piece, but he didn't have his artist name in there. And so since he minted a custom contract, he was able to update on the mainnet. No, I don't want to do this. No, that's scary. He was able to update on the mainnet and put inside the description his artist name, and then we picked up some of the pieces because we thought that was a piece of information that we wanted. So you could also preview links from Manifold. You can look at the metadata, and you can see what the metadata looks like there. If you can read that sort of thing, you could look and see what does it look like on Rarible. So if OpenSea went down or they kicked me for some reason, check it out. Boom, I'm on Rarible because I have a custom contract. So my description is here. Everything is here. My royalties, my 10% royalty transferred over now, as long as Rarible accepts that. And so you can see all this stuff, more from my collection on Rarible. This is how cool it is to mint on Manifold. So, I don't know if
I
I'm
think
missing
Joey
any.
had a question.
Yeah, sure. Why don't you put Joey to turn his mic on so he can speak? I know Joey likes to speak. So.
Yeah, sure. You're unmuted, Joey.
Oh, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hiya. How you doing? Thanks for doing this.
Good, man.
Sorry if there's a bit of background noise. It's my fan on my computer going to overdrive for some reason. Yeah, so I think just while you've reached that point in the conversation about making changes, so is there a way you could like go through that? Could be quite, I think, like more specifically useful. So
Cool.
people are always worried about making changes after minting. Now you said obviously do everything very carefully, but
Okay, let's
you
take
might
let's
make
take
changes afterwards. So.
Yeah, let's take a look because Chris Height CG he made changes. So
And sorry, while you're there, sort of to do with metadata, you had that the option where you could like select which bits of the metadata you wanted to include, or
yeah.
like exclude. Can you also show where you might make a change to the metadata, like?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's do that first. So Midnight and Rockaway is not going to obviously be in my Lost and Stranded collection. So if I open this up, and you're saying if I wanted to add more properties, so if I want to add more properties, so I could click New Property, and then I could say I haven't messed with a lot of these, but I usually just do text, right? And so then down here you'll see now. Let's say I wanted to add unique trait. Unique trait, and maybe my unique trait is that the Statue of Liberty appears. The Statue of Liberty appears within, and that's it. It automatically saves. See, it says saved. So now I have another unique trait in there. So now, if I was to mint this to Rinkeby, which it's not allowing us to do today because I think the Ethereum merge, we would be able to see exactly what this looks like on OpenSea, and we would be able to see that there's no description, but we'd be able to see the properties and everything like that. So, and then so your second question was, can we take a look at what it would be like to make a change? So let's click on this one. Update on me. Let's see if I was going to change anything. Let me make sure I'm not going to change something that's like too important. So ISO. All right, let's just say we want to do ISO 500 instead of 400. This isn't going to kill anyone. Okay. ISO 500. It says saved. So, at that point, if we went and looked on OpenSea, it says ISO 400, right? But I think that's where this comes in, Joe. If I press update on mainnet, I think I think I'm gonna have to pay gas, and then it's gonna update this, and this is gonna be ISO 500.
Don't do it, Mike. Yeah, there'll be a tiny gas fee, and you'll.
And my ISO will be a lie, but there'll be a tiny gas fee. So. Yeah, that's showing that you can do that. And your question's interesting too, because we haven't updated things on the main yet. I know Chris Height CG did for me and Alpha, because we wanted the artist name in there. But I'm willing to look into more information, especially on Manifold's site that probably has information. Because they have maybe it's not on here. It's probably on their Discord where they have frequently asked questions and stuff. And so I do believe you can update later on. And so with that being said, maybe there's a benefit to being able to update later on, because you could add an artist name. But what about an artist that went in and started like removing things that were important? I don't know why they would do that, but if the option's open to do that, that's kind of concerning, I would say. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I think that as an artist, you're pressing a self-destruct switch if you start deleting stuff from your metadata and updating it. So it's not a very wise thing to do. think the option to go back in and change things is very cool. But you need to be, if you've been collected from that collection, you probably need to speak to all the collectors just to make sure that they're okay with you going back in and changing something. And assuming that you're changing it for the better, I don't think it'd be a problem. And especially if it's on a piece that you've sold to a collector. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. 'Cause I know you can like fully freeze. I don't think you can fully freeze yet on Manifold. Maybe if you speak to them.
I want to show you guys a really cool feature. First of all, we don't want this midnight Rampway. We were just showing you guys how to add things, right? And how that EXIF data. So there's create a copy as draft, which is amazing, and there's delete token. I want to delete this token, right? But let's say, so I have 60 tokens in my lost in transit, right? And let's say I'm gonna go do 61 tokens because eventually I am, because I'm gonna mint my next 20. And I don't want to put in all this information again, right? So check this out. I don't want to put in all this description and all this stuff and all these properties, right? Let's say you don't want to do that. You can just say right here, this is another really cool feature. You could say create a copy as draft. And then look at this. I have all the information here. So now I could add a new photo, another foggy night image, right? And I could select this metadata if you want. You're probably going to want this metadata because, but I'm just going to cancel that for now. But this is a copy of stillness, but now we would change this to like I don't know, some simple thing like I don't know, solitude on the whatever, solitude in motion. Maybe that's better. And then so now you would just change the description part and talk about solitude, right? Like blah blah blah, whatever you want to put there. But look, my artist name's still there, my collection. I don't have to retype any of this stuff. Look, artist name, edition limited to 10. I will have to change the dimensions because it's a new image, so remember that. DPI should remain the same. I always use 300 DPI because for printing, it's the strongest there is. 2013, that would change because I made this image in 2022. Nikon D800 would change, but you don't have to add all of this information with the first image that you mint. You could just put the basic stuff like artist name, edition, and then this stuff, and then you can make a copy of that. So just to be clear, it's a really cool feature because you don't have to go back and type a bunch of stuff all over again. That is a long process. So this is a really cool thing. So I'm going to delete this. It's okay. But yeah, I mean, so the next part that is important, right, is you have the settings here, right? So over here, you want to set your royalties. This is your default royalties. I've set mine as a photographer to 10%. People in Gen Art, they set theirs a little bit lower. It depends on what genre you're in. Kind of talking about photography here, I'd say. So mine are already set. I already dealt with this. Your OpenSea royalties are not set. Click here to set them. What was that for the last token I had? I don't know why it says it's not set. Royalties are not set. Click here to set them. I'll see. Maybe it's because I'm on Rinkby. I don't know. But my royalties are set because I've been getting them. This stuff here, I mean, this is a little bit more advanced. This is like if you want to approve an admin to also mint tokens on your stuff. Let's say you have a project manager. You could add them here. And then if they're being a jerk, you could revoke their privileges here. And then this stuff here, I haven't went too deep in this one. Register extension, base con. Yep, I'm not familiar with this. I'm not going to go into this. But these are the basics. The basics of Do you have anything to add on like what I covered in the basics? Let's take a look at what some of these guides that you had here, Michael. So deploy contract, we did that. Obviously, you have options to deploy on the mainnet, edit the contract, mint token. Note one, you cannot edit your contract once deployed to mainnet. And then preparing tokens. So we showed you how to prepare. A token is a single artwork, example, a photograph. You mint it on a 721 contract, or you choose artwork, add details. So the part that's missing that you don't get to see here is that when we go to mint this token, right, it's going to ask you, do you want to mint it to yourself, or is it an airdrop, right? And you want to mint it to yourself, like, because you're creating your own thing. And then it's going to ask you right there, it's going to say how many additions. And so I choose 10 additions. And that's why when we click on mine and we view it on OpenSea, you can see that there's 10. There's a total of 10 additions. So whatever you click there, so everything you do is important, that you're double checking everything that you do, right? Otherwise, you're going to have to spend money burning things. And if you've already sold it to someone, then you're going to have that issue where you can't make that specific change. So let's see. So if I go back here, minting additional, choose artwork, add the details, set quantity. So that's what you guys weren't able to see just because Rinkeby is acting up right now because of the Ethereum merge. Mint tokens now mint on Rinkeby testnet. We went through that. View on OpenSea. Mainnet might need a refresh of metadata. So yeah, sometimes when you go to view it on OpenSea, OpenSea has to catch up between this like lag time, and it might take an hour or so, or maybe even more time than that for the full image to show up. And a lot of you probably have experienced that with OpenSea and new mints, where it just doesn't show it yet. You just have to wait a little bit. If mainnet OpenSea edit collection details. Be aware if you are on mainnet or testnet. Yeah, always double check, guys. You don't want to mint something to mainnet if you're just trying to test some stuff out. Royalties we just looked at in Manifold contract settings. And thank you, Michael, for these slides. These slides are very helpful. You set your royalties to your wallet address and the percentage on OpenSea. And then on OpenSea, you can set your royalties in the collection settings. I don't know if you want to go over any of this stuff, Mike, that I'm missing.
That's totally cool. Keep going till the end, and I'll catch up.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Excellent. So once OpenSea royalties is set, Manifold royalties page will confirm. This stuff here, it's not complicated. Trust me. You just go into OpenSea how you normally would and make sure that the royalties there are also 10%. Because Manifold is making 10% universally for all platforms. That doesn't mean that those platforms are necessarily going to oblige by that. Like Rarible might one day say, "Oh, we only do 5% royalties now," or SudoSwap just recently said they are doing no royalties or something. This is something new to me. I just read about this the other day. I don't know, but this is another important reason for why I want to have my own custom contract to be able to just move out of a situation if I need to and not feel trapped. Manifold listing. On OpenSea, list for sale. 6 months if you want to list for 6 months. I don't list for 6 months because then, some of the people that I have on my allow list think they have that much time to to mint their stuff. I usually give them 3 days because they hold back my collection from moving, and I let them know, please buy as soon as possible. But yeah, if you want to set for 6 months, you could set for 6 months. That's the highest amount of time. Additions have to be done individually. So yeah, even though you set on Manifold, additions are 10. When you go over to OpenSea, it'll say additions are 10. But you still have to list all 10 of those, just like you do if you do the back around on OpenSea. You still have to list all 10 of those, and it's rather quick if you're listing them all for the same price, especially on Foundation. Wait until your artwork appears and then list for sale. Same thing again. There might be some little lag between. And then the last slide Michael had here, Manifold. The documentation is excellent. So what do you mean by that, Mike?
I mean, generally speaking, documentation is pretty boring, laborious, but yeah, it's straight to the point, and I don't know, I always found it pretty fun. And unfortunately, we can't see the test net today. You know, it's just the way it is when you try and do one of these things and they decide to finally do the merge. But the test net, which we didn't see the back end of OpenSea, it looks exactly the same. The logo's got a slightly different color, I think. It's got maybe a test net over it or something. But yeah, it's identical. So you can get stuck in there and really play around with the Manifold side of it, upload it back to the OpenSea side, and see what changed. It's a playground, and it's there to be played with, and it's there to experiment with. It's never going to be seen. So the testnet is just an amazing side of Manifold. But yeah, I think the documentation as well. Normally, I wouldn't recommend documentation. I'd just say go and watch a video or something like this. But it's actually really good.
Yeah, and this is why I wanted to do this in real time too. Like the slides are great because the audience can screenshot some of these slides, and also we could look back on the slides to see if we missed anything. But I feel like, at least for me as a learner, the best way for me to learn is just to have somebody show me exactly what to do. And so the workshop today was for just that, to be able to show you guys exactly what to do. And you starting off by connecting yourself to your MetaMask, launching Manifold's Studio. Oops, I think I launched the wrong thing there. I said learn more. I'm sorry. You're launching the Manifold's app. And here it is. Here's my contract, lost in transit, and it's very simple. Once you have this done, you do this part like we showed you before. If you want a website to get the ask, make an easy kind of ASCII, you can totally use this website here. I did something very simple to show you guys today. Difference between 720, what is it, ERC 725. If you're doing additions and you want them to all just pop up like this and be numbered, see a lot of artists doing this, you have to go with the 725. If you're doing an additions collection like mine and you don't want it to show up like that, and you want it to look like a clean, full-on collection, and then when you click on it, you have the totals up top, then you're going to want to go with the 1155. So those are the clear differences to me, is that with the 725, it's the standard non-fungible token, and with the 1155, you have that option to add additions to that single image. So you could have and this is not just in photography, guys. This is a lot in gaming, right? So let's say in Decentraland there's a game and there's a sword called the Unholy Sword, right? And maybe the person who's creating the contract wants 10 of those swords. So that's not non-fungible anymore. Now that's fungible, because those 10 swords are all the same. So they'll always sell at the same. They'll always sell at the same price. So the 1155 allows you to have non-fungible and then also fungible, which works really well in games and some other types of projects, but worked really, really well for my collection because I wanted it to look really clean, and I wanted people to only see one of those images. I didn't want them to see this peaking image 10 different times all throughout here and try to find the cheapest one and stuff like that. I think that would have been a fail, I think, if I would have went that route. For instance, if you went with like Shield by Ashton, and I bought one of these, Ashton Techno, and it's only one image, and you want it numbered, then this is an interesting route too. You can go this route as well. So it's good to know the difference between those two types of tokens. And yeah, if there's outside of questions that we're going to open up for you guys today, you have support here on Manifold, and there's a Discord channel. I recommend going into their Discord channel so that when you're setting up your stuff, if you do have any questions, they're pretty quick to respond to questions on there. They also have a frequently asked section that will answer all of your questions without having to really bother them if you could find the information yourself. Not that you're bothering them, but if the information is in the FAQ, best to look there first, before going to ask any of those questions. And with that, if I missed anything that you can think of, Michael, let me know. Otherwise, we could open the floor to some questions if people have questions.
Yeah, it was a rough day. We had the delivery driver. He wanted a drink.
He wanted a drink, then said no to the drink, the free drink, said no to the free drink, and then asked me to cut open the top of the Powerade bottle with a knife so I could fit the ice in there because the ice wouldn't fit. I said I couldn't do that because I was teaching a class. And then so he said, well, I really need the ice. You could please give me the ice. So I had to go get a Ziploc. That's the funniest thing that's happened to me during a workshop so far.
Yeah,
but
too much.
And the rink fee. Yeah, we could talk about that.
We had rink fee playing up. I just wanted to add as well about the description area of your NFTs, and it's really important to try and put as much information in that as possible. And mics are good, and like he was saying, I remember the artist, you said that you actually got them to go back in and put their name in there, because at the moment we have our platforms, we have like OpenSea, Foundation. In 100 years or 200 years, platforms probably won't be there. And if the only place name was on the platform and not in the contract somewhere or not on the token, then in 100 years' time or 200 years' time, the NFT is going to be worthless, because not worthless, but worth less, in my opinion, because people will be trying to trade it, and they won't have they'll be like, I love this piece of art, but who made it? What's it called? So where Mike's scrolling now, it's really important to get it in there, and it's so easy. And I think I really hope it will become default soon, because it feels like you're doing it. It feels like at the top there where it says created by Mike Schmidt, it feels like you're doing it, but it needs to be in that description. So yeah, the more you can put in there, the better.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. That's a really, really great point to hit on. And it does. It feels really good to mint on Manifold. There's something about it that makes it feel truly yours, and that's what I really love about it. And it's easy, guys. And if you have questions after this, you can always hit me up. I'm sure Michael's open with his DMs too. And so, like he was saying, I like to have a nice description, like, talking about what my image is about. And then, this image was published in CNN. It was Photo District News, Petapixel. I was Sony Emerging Photographer of the Year for this collection, and this image was particularly one of the ones that they used in the publications through Sony, CNN, and Photo District News. So I'm always one, like, story first, publications if you have those, right? Because I think they're important to some collectors. And then this stuff's really important, guys. Artist name, collection name, how many editions, right? And I like to cover my ass. I want it in both areas. I want it here, and I want it in the properties. Look how many properties I have, guys. Look how many properties I have. I have my artist name, I have the camera, the lens. You don't need this stuff. You don't have to if you don't want to. I have the date. It's really important to me. 2013, I took this picture, guys. So, my project shows pre-COVID, well before pre-COVID. It shows during COVID, and it shows post-COVID. So a metadata that's important in my collection is the date. So I have that. Resolution's important to me, DPI. but different things will be important for different people. And since this was awarded, this collection, I added a publication section, and I put where it was awarded and where it was published, and then what the award was that I have. So, and if we look on, if we go to, let's go to LooksRare. We haven't looked at LooksRare yet, but it's so cool. It'll show you how this will look everywhere. 10 owners, 10 editions. Look at the properties on LooksRare. It's really cool. Token details. It tells you it's on an 1155. My royalties are 10%, so my royalties are obviously correct, and they're in there. And yeah, I want to see a lot more people using Manifold, and I think that today was today was a workshop that I've been wanting to get to for a while, and I wanted to find the right person, and Michael's the right person. I'm glad that that we have Michael's time today to look through some of this, because he's one of the first that I know to use Manifold, and Michael's a really great artist too. I'd love for you guys to go check out his work. And if you guys missed the part about the Rinkeby, which is the test net, you get the free Rinkeby Monopoly money, I'd like to call it, here at the Rinkeby faucet. You just put in your wallet address, so mine's spatial.eth, and then you say send me the ETH. It sends it there. Then you go to your MetaMask and you change. I'm just going over this again in case new people came. You go into your MetaMask. I want to reject this, whatever this was before, switch network. And you change from the Ethereum network and you move yourself over to the Rinkeby testnet. And you'll see now, I have 0.27 Rinkeby ETH here. This is my play around ETH money. And so I recommend to do all your stuff on the testnet beforehand. And so once that issue with the merge is complete, or once they get back to me through email on how to go about it, I'll let all you guys know. But at this time, I'd like to see if there's anything in the chat section, or anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask.
Yeah.
Just jump in with something. Sorry, I'll just jump in with something very quickly. So basically, when you mint to OpenSea, or when you mint out, it gets spread out over the network. So OpenSea pick it up, LooksRare, Rareable. I think there's a couple more. But what I've found recently, because I'm trying to move to Foundation, is that I don't believe you can have on both. It seems to be either Foundation or the other crew, if you like, the OpenSea, Rareable, LooksRare. And at the moment, you can't do additions on Foundation with Manifold. So it's still a bit of a work in progress. So I would come at it from, I'm going to do this to get it onto OpenSea and the other two, and then move on from there. That's how I would do it. I think Manifold, I think Foundation integration is good, but it's not perfect yet. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. And is it all right to just hover over the you go back onto the main net, Mike, and then just see how much the price of minting a ER721 is at the moment, please?
Sure. So Gwei is 9 right now, so it's probably relatively cheap. I like to do this around 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got some really cheap gas at that point. But ERC21, it's a mint 0.002. That's very cheap, right? What is that?
Yeah, I mean,
that's, what is that? A couple of dollars, maybe?
Yeah, Emma had a question like, how does it compare to the price of OpenSea? I can't really answer that because I'm not on there. And there's two. I guess you can lazy mint on OpenSea and you can properly mint. So I don't know.
Well, compared to the price of OpenSea, so OpenSea is lazy minting. So so artists can just go on there and mint, and they're not paying anything. The cost comes out, I think, when the buyer buys from OpenSea, and that's why a lot of people mint like that on OpenSea. But the problem is they don't really own their own contract, and so like we've seen some artists get kicked off, and now they don't have their own contract to just say, oh, let me just move all of this over real easily to another platform. And the future from now too, that, you know, we're very early, guys. We're tip of the spear. I mean, down the line, you know, OpenSea might not be the thing. You know, it might be called something else. There's going to probably be all sorts of platforms, but I feel really secure that my legacy project is minted on my, like, it's minted my own custom smart contract minted to my wallet address, and so that, like, I could move it. So it's worth it for me to pay. So if you want to know the cost to deploy your contract, 0.005. So I don't know if one of you guys have a calculator. Maybe you can an ETH calculator, but since I'm running the workshop, I don't want to do this. But you could come up with the idea that's not that much money. Now it's 0.004 to mint just a contract. And then, you know, for lost in transit, I mint 20 at a time. So then you would say 1150, 0.002 times 20 is what? 0.04 or something to mint 20 images. You know, that's totally worth it to me, especially at a time right now when gas is low. Last year, I mean, you'd have a much harder time doing all this than you would now as far as prices go. I don't think there's any better time to mint a Manifold than right now.
And Mike, that definitely is helpful information. I had an artist ask what if they're getting started, what amount of ETH they should maybe have in their wallet for minting costs. Do you have kind of a general guideline that you've seen? Because obviously the time of day changes.
Sure.
But
Sure.
that was kind of was like, as you're getting started, what could be expected?
Okay, well, I could tell you that when I minted phase 1 of Lost in Transit, which was, it was at a time when gas was relatively high. For everything, for me to do the contract and to do 20 images that had 10 editions each, which is 200 NFTs plus a contract, cost me $400, 400 US dollars. So if we can convert that to ETH, what? So 4, 8, 12, 16. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much ETH that is exactly off the top of my head. 4, 8, 12. Yeah, about probably about 0.25 ETH would have done it at that point. But looking at it now, I think it's a lot less than that. I think maybe it's probably between $150 to $200 if you wanted to do 20 images. Let's say that there was just 20 images and the cost for the contract. I think it would cost roughly $200, which I think is you know, I think it's reasonable for most artists to be able to do that, especially if it's a really, really important collection for them. So I think about 200 USD, but we can go by this right now. I mean, this is cost estimates. Oh, here we go. We can switch this over to dollars. Look at this. I love this Manifold. So
I didn't know that. That's cool.
So look, the contract would be $8 right now, and then 20 images of ERC 1155. So let's just say that's $5. So 20, 40, 60, 80, $100. So $109 it would cost right now to do the contract with 20 images. So that would answer their question with Gwei being at 13. If that's helpful.
Very cool. And yeah, that's awesome that it gives you the estimate there. So thank you for pointing that out.
That's super cool. I didn't know. I didn't know that you can just click that $ button and it tells you in US dollars. That's great. That's really cool. So you could switch from ETH to US dollars because a lot of people like to measure their worth in ETH, and some people like to see what it looks like at USD. So it has it for both. So at the end of the day, Manifold is really a really great tool for creators, and I so respect the team, Richard and everyone else who's behind Manifold. And they also have, you know, on YouTube, they have if you type in Manifold XYZ on YouTube, there's a tutorial by Richard, who's the co-founder, and he's doing a tutorial with someone else. But honestly, I think the tutorial that we did today is is a lot simpler. It's just that they had their Rinkeby testnet was working then, and so it's about an hour long. You guys can watch it if you want to. I mean, I'm the type of person that would have watched this workshop and then also spent the hour to watch that too. So you could do that. They have documents on here as well, support, and their Discord is really, really good. And so yeah, really easy, guys. Just mint the contract, and then you just mint the tokens to that contract. So see if there's any other questions that's in the chat. Thanks, Michael, for doing the conversion there after we figured that out, though. 0.21 at current rate. Yeah, it's pretty cheap, guys, right now to do it. Joe had a question. Someone today wanted to burn something they minted on Manifold and was told it would cost over 700 USD. That doesn't sound right to me. I mean, we just kind of showed the prices that it showed, the estimates, and for me to mint during a really expensive time, the contract and 20 images, all at 10 editions, cost me about 400 USD. So yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know how to answer that one. Indeed, it does make me wonder where. Trying to read over the chat here to see if we missed anything. Yeah, ETH merge could cause a lot of issues in the coming 4 weeks. This is true, and this is why we had an issue today showing you guys how to use the testnet. But it's very simple. I can promise you guys that. As long as you go to that Rinkeby faucet that I showed, and you just click Send Me ETH. If I click it, it's not going to send me ETH because I already got mine for the day. So they'll send you 0.1 every 24 hours, which is way more than enough to do a full contract. And so you send the ETH to you. Once again, I'll just show this the last time. Is that you switch from the Ethereum. Once it's sent you the ETH to the Rinkeby, you switch to the Rinkeby, and you see it here, 0.27. This would let me mint probably 5 contracts and 500 NFTs with that amount of play money. Yeah, best practice to do the testnet first, then mint it on mainnet. I mint everything right onto mainnet now just because I've done it 3 times, but yep. But with that, I don't know if we have any other questions. If anyone wants to come up, raise your hand in the workshop chat. If you guys have any questions. And if not, I mean, I'd rather not go too in depth into anything else. If we kind of wanted this to be kind of like a very simplified way and kind of beginner. Well, I wouldn't even say beginner because this is just it. This is it. This is how you do it. So anything more advanced is even outside of what me and Michael probably know right now. So this is what you need to get up and running. It's pretty straightforward. I see Boss Mom typing. Joe's question about the burning procedure is new. Okay. I haven't had to burn anything yet, so I'm not sure that. So that question, maybe we can get into Discord and ask them about burning costs, and they'll come back to us and give us an answer about the cost of burning. I haven't had to burn anything yet. You see Joe's typing. Cool, Joe. Thanks for the questions, though, guys. But with that, do you Emma, do you have anything? Any other questions that you had, or Jaden, Goon, anybody in here?
I think we're all good.
Yeah, I think anybody could take this knowledge and be able to get up and be able to mint. And if you guys are having a final pros and cons summary, honestly, I don't really see any cons with minting on Manifold. The pros for me was that, like I said earlier, I'm in a decentralized space, and I came here to be in a democracy and have individual sovereignty. So when I saw that that artists were getting kicked off of OpenSea, I realized that I'm dealing with a centralized organization, and I'm not here to call out OpenSea. because those artists were also kicked off of Foundation. And OpenSea and Foundation, decentralized organizations, they have to abide by sanctions and they have to abide by tax laws and stuff. But that sort of stuff scared me, especially with my with the 10-year legacy project that I worked on. That if something like that happened to me, that I would want to own this contract, and I would not want that contract owned by a third-party organization, because decentralization to me is sort of separating from third-party privileges over our own rights and trying to have individual sovereignty. So after that, I said, my next project, my legacy project, I'm gonna do the steps to learn this Manifold thing, and I'm gonna do it right the first time. And I'm glad that I did that, because I feel a lot safer now that I can, if my stuff gets deleted off of OpenSea or wherever it's at, that I can just say, okay, let me move it onto this platform, and everybody still owns their tokens. Everyone still owns their tokens in their wallet that they bought from me, and now they can visibly see it on whatever platform it may be. Maybe it's Maker's Place, maybe it's Looks Rare, maybe it's the next thing that's better than OpenSea, maybe it's Coinbase NFT one day. I have no idea, but the ability the pros for me is that I own I feel like I have more individual sovereignty over my own rights. My royalties carry over and stuff like that. As far as cons, I don't really know. I guess the only con would be if you don't have the money to have those upfront costs, and OpenSea is good for you because they have lazy minting and you don't have to pay anything to list. I guess you could consider that a con. So for me, that's that. I don't know, Michael. I don't know if you have further pros and cons of doing this.
I think the first con would be, don't try to do a workshop when they're doing the merge. The merge has been on the cards for ages. But yeah, I agree. It's about having a contract that, even though I don't understand what's in that contract, I can see the code. Whereas the OpenSea one was a shared one. I just didn't get it. The fact that you can change your data afterwards, again, do that with thought. And also what we talked about today is really basic. You sign into Manifold, you create a contract, you mint a token onto that contract, you set the royalties, and you list it for sale. There's 5 bits to it. Also on Manifold, they're starting to introduce new features. So as I said, once you've got over the first hurdle, you can then start applying for batch minting. And they do things like extensions where you can do dynamic NFTs that change. I believe, depending on the day and stuff like that. What was the other thing? Got a free mint page now for your collectors, so that you can do promotions and stuff like that. So yeah, I think behind the scenes there's a lot going on, and yeah, all good. Really like it, and I'd encourage everyone to get onto testnet, try it out, see how it feels, and go from there. Cheers, everyone.
So Emma said a con I see is what happens if Manifold fails as a company. It expected, but something we always talk about. What isn't expected? I meant to say. You want to take that one, Michael?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read in their FAQs that even if they go down, the code is
immutable.
Yeah. So again, I think you'd have to look at it. I think the bigger problem would be, are we going down? But yeah, as far as I understand it, it's written into code and the code's out there. So yeah, let's say the company went down today, and my contract should still work.
Well, let's talk about what that means. The company goes down. Let's talk about what that means. Richard stops working on it, and they stop working on it. Well, whatever features they worked on up until then should still exist immutably on the blockchain, but people probably can't use Manifold anymore to create, right, to create contracts. But the people who've already created will be grandfathered in through mathematics and algorithms that are immutable, basically.
Yeah, it's a good question.
I trust that team a lot, though. They're a much smaller team than some of these larger teams. They have a lot less to lose. They're a lot less profit-based. As a matter of fact, I don't know how they even make profit. I'm not sure, since minting through them is cheaper than minting through Foundation and these other ones. So, yeah, I don't know. I definitely do trust them a lot.
Yeah, the other thing as well is that I could go onto the Etherscan and I could look at my contract on there, independent of Manifold, existing as a website, as a company, and whatever. And I could probably cut and paste that into a text file and send that off to a NFT developer, and they'll probably just like write my contract for me for, I'd like to think $60. Does that sound fair to everybody? But yeah, the code's out there. But yeah, good question. I don't know really. You there, Mike?
I am. I'm here. I'm just reading Emma's one last detail. I believe you can lock your data if you'd like. Are you familiar with that one?
I think you can do it on OpenSea, and I'm not sure you can do it on Manifold. But I would think that if you really wanted to, you could contact them, and they would do it for you. And I was in a space, I think Emma might have been there actually, and we were talking about the pros and cons of properly freezing a contract, and it does have pros and cons. But as we've seen from what you were saying, Mike, the other day, I think it was yourself and Alpha wanted a piece, but you needed the artist to put that information into the metadata.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and they added it to the metadata even after the image had already sold. And I think Emma is a witness to that too, because it was the High Rises collection, and the Alpha purchased a piece after the artist added their name to it, even though, even though I had already had a High Rise, and he added the information to all of them at once. So even the ones that were already sold. But that question about locking your data would be the opposite of that, right? That would mean locking it so that it can't be changed after. Like, is it correct?
Yeah.
True, yes.
Interesting.
And
so,
because I would say a con from the collector side is that layer of trust there, with the ability to change things so freely, that when you're purchasing, that you're trusting that the artist is going to not change things to the negative, that only approving. And also, because I think you can even change the actual image itself. So thinking about the fact that, you're purchasing something at a certain point in time, and that could actually be something completely different if the artist, just decides, obviously that's not, that would be a weird situation, but just that possibility. So that's one thing that thinking about from the collector side, of trusting the process, that once it's purchased, it's still editable. But I understood that there was the possibility of going ahead, and I don't think you can revert it, but you could lock the data at a set point, and that could be one of those things that is an added benefit for that trust relationship. So it might be something to look into, because that's just one of those things that and also if someone were to hack your account, and they could essentially steal things or change things that someone had already collected. And I'm not saying that they haven't already thought that through and have abilities to go ahead and correct that or keep that from happening. But those are just some of the details, some of the little things that you kind of think about along the way with that.
No, that's really important, actually, and something that I thought about too. The other day, is I'm like, well, if they could change it for the better, then what if an artist did something malicious and changed the image completely, like. And then someone said to me, in a chat, like, well, why would they do that? It would hurt their art clearly. Well, that's not really the best response. I mean, yeah, why would they do that? But people do crazy things, and so it's just a possibility, and the fact that it's a possibility is concerning. So I think what I would like to do is we should write down some of these questions, Michael. Some of the ones where we want a little bit more information on, especially that last one. And I'll probably head into their Discord today and ask a question like that. Hey, if someone's minting on Manifold and they could change information after a collector has already bought it, what stops them from changing that information in a possibly negative or malicious way, and see how the team responds to that? And is there a way to lock the data to give that sort of level of comfortability to the collector, knowing that data is locked in? You know.
See, another idea might be, rather than, because I think freezing is really final. So it might be that someone comes along in the near future and creates this kind of like side smart contract, which means that it's not fully frozen, but if I wanted to change an image, my collector would also have to authorize that, and it would like merge into a, I don't want to use that word today. The smart contract would say, okay, both parties have agreed to it. You know, you've got a 24-hour window to change the image. Because yeah, look, if you fall out of your collector, just change it to a white image. It's horrible, you know. But yeah, it's not good as an artist. It's not a good look. So interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that would make sense to have dual approval. Yeah. Yeah. That I like that idea that Joe said. Dual approval makes way more sense, right? Because isn't the collector as much of the owner as the artist? As a matter of fact, isn't the collector more of an, I would think if it's a one of one and I bought it, that I'm more of an owner than the artist. Now I'll give the artist the right that they're still the artist no matter what. But like, I own the image, so how come I don't have a say in that change? That's a great. Maybe that's something that the team hasn't. You know, maybe they haven't, either they haven't looked into it yet. They probably have, or they just haven't figured out a way to implement that code. But that's something that I definitely want to bring up with Richard from Manifold today. So and he DMs me back and forth. So I'll probably send him a DM with some of these questions today on Twitter.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, everyone.
And so Joe says that would make sense to have dual approval. Absolutely, 100% agree. This is such a gray area for photography in particular due to rights licensing terms from Web 2. 100% agree. So yeah, I'm going to be bringing all that up to Richard. And with that, if no one has any other questions, then yeah, we can probably wrap this up. And you know, I'm sure that Goon or Jaden will have this as recorded. This recorded session on YouTube soon, and I could imagine that this session should get a lot more YouTube hits than probably most sessions that we've even done, because it's such a topic that a lot of people are afraid to jump into, and an important topic too. So yeah, with that, thanks MetaJungle for giving us the space to allow us to provide this knowledge and show people how to mint onto a Manifold, because I think it's becoming a standard and a really important piece in the ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Mike, as well. Awesome job today. This, I think, is really going to help a lot of artists, so we appreciate all the time you put into it, and so thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. I hope we made it as simple as possible. And sorry for the hiccup, but that wasn't on us with the Rinkeby not working. It might very well work tomorrow, and I'll talk to Richard about that as well.
Yeah, thanks, Goon. Thanks, MetaJungle. Quite happy to do another one after the merge and it's settled down, and yeah, all good. Thanks everyone for attending, and yeah, see you all soon.
All right, bye everyone.
Alrighty.